Hey y'all, and welcome back to Bourbon and Bones. So if you're a faithful follower of ours, thank you, and if you're new here, welcome. So this is our autumnal cocktail episode, and if you like what we're doing here, like, comment, share, and subscribe below. So next week is Thanksgiving, and Bourbon and Bones Kitchen is here to help. And I understand, this is a really strange year. COVID's still in play, people are worried about getting together with family. And it can be a stressful time. And we're not saying turn to booze for help, but it doesn't hurt taking the edge off. So we're going to share a couple of really good cocktails with you. So there are some easy cocktails to make and to share, or just to help you survive family. Sometimes we always could use a little bit of assistance. In most of the country, it's getting cooler, it's almost cold, and it's a nice evening, perhaps, for a hot buttered rye. All right, so like I said before, first up tonight is a hot buttered rye. It's gonna be a lot like a hot buttered rum, if you've ever had one of those, but with rye, so it's better. So this is a really simple cocktail, and you should have all the ingredients on hand, particularly butter, because it's Thanksgiving. And every shopping list in Thanksgiving says butter, 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 turkey. So you should have plenty of it around. Best thing to use is for salted butter as well. Start off with 5 ounces of boiling water. Put it into a nice heat-proof container. You want 2 good ounces of a bold rye. So tonight I'm using High West Double Rye. Now this is a special one that I picked up. It's a limited release at Costco. It's finished in a gin barrel. So it's really, really herbaceous. And I think it tastes really good with this. But needing kind of really powerful rye is really what you're looking for. I think even with the secondary aging, this was still right around a $45 rye, something like that. I think its normal price is around the $35 mark. A great rye to use. Then 3/4 ounce of your brown sugar syrup. I keep this on hand pretty well, and it's equal parts brown sugar and water. Heat it up into a syrupy deliciousness, and used in a ton of my cocktails, and particularly on this episode, I think it's in pretty much all the cocktails. Finally, you're going to add 1 ounce of melted butter. Best thing to do with this is to whisk the ingredients together and pour in the butter slowly. So pouring it in slowly and whisking it allows it to blend in there without getting chunky. So I think the best way to serve this is going to be in a mule cup. Just pour that in. Try not to make a mess. And I would say finish it off with a nice bit of fresh whipped cream. So, hot buttered rye. And on the nose you get rye. It's rye and kind of butter, obviously. It just smells warm and just welcoming. Really, really like this one. So on the palate, it is thick. It is delicious. Yeah, that is. People who don't like rye will love this. They'll be like, oh my God, what is this? It's butter. There's few things you can do wrong with that. So you get the rye baking spices. This is finished in a gin. You get a little bit of that gin burst as well. Brown sugar, warm deliciousness. Fantastic. So the next one up tonight is another nice warm drink. So we're gonna build this one right into the Moscow Mule cup. And this one we're gonna call the Hottie Toddy. So this one you're gonna use 6 ounces of boiling water, 2 ounces of a bourbon. I really like I.W. Harper in this, mainly because it has a really bold cinnamon feature that is just delicious with this one. You can also use a good rye as well. There's no wrong way to make this one, I think. You want 2 ounces of bourbon, You want 3/4 of an ounce, again, of the brown syrup. You're going to want 1/2 ounce of fresh lemon. Give it a nice little stir. And I would say nice lemon wedge. You can also build this in a coffee cup as well if you don't have any mule cups laying around. So on the palate, it's just a beautiful bourbon. Nice and warm, kind of baked, great citrus notes. This is definitely a bourbon drinker's cocktail. You give this to somebody that doesn't enjoy bourbon, they're gonna hit it right back. It is a lot of wonderful bourbon flavor, good citrus notes with it as well. Really just a nice warming drink. I mean, sit outside in our blanket and just sip on this. I think you'll always be happy. So this one's interesting. So the girlfriend actually really likes this one. And when she is sick, she is the absolute worst patient in the world. One thing that I feel like always helps break up a chest cold is a nice hot toddy. Now a Hottie Toddy, like this one, she really enjoyed. So it might even help when you're feeling a little under the weather. Not saying it will help, but it's going to help. All right, so the next two cocktails are for the big day itself, Thanksgiving. So this one is called an Autumn Ricky. So this is built in a shaker. So you're going to use 1 ounce of maple syrup. Grade A is always best. So grade A is always best. So you're going to get the best flavor out of it. One ounce or so. All right, so 1 ounce lime juice. You're going to want 1.5 ounces of a nice wheated bourbon. So I'm using Larceny. That's what I have on hand. Great for that, but if you have anything else, I'd say give it a shot. But I really like the wheated bourbons on these. 1.5 ounces of that. And what we're going to do is put it over ice, shake it over ice. So again, like normal, 1 large rock, 1 broken, and shake. So one thing I like to do with this one is put this in a nice ring into a coupe glass. And you want to double strain this one. It's got a lot of pulp in it from when you do the lime juice. Go ahead and fill that up. Finish it with a little bit of fresh cinnamon right on the top. So this is a cocktail that is perfect for just after cheese or after appetizers for Thanksgiving. When everyone is getting ready to kind of start thinking about dinner, it's a great palate cleanser because it is lots of lime, of course, coming through. Lots of cinnamon. Lots of just this kind of grassy note that I think is coming from the wheated bourbons. It is refreshing. It has this nice sharp edge to it coming from the lime. A little bit of mapley darkness to it coming from the syrup and from the bourbon. It's just good. Like, this is a really lovely just palate cleanser. I mean, you can sit around and walk around with this, chit chat with people, and just enjoy the evening, just waiting for dinner to finish up. yeah, this would, yeah, perfect cocktail for before dinner. Just make it and people will be dying for the recipe. So to wrap up Thanksgiving dinner and this episode, I would suggest the Kentucky Bourbon Sparkler. So I don't have really nice flutes, but I have very lovely coops. So build it in whatever glass you have handy, but something nicer. It's the end of dinner. It's the final time where you can make little toasts. You get to enjoy the rest of the evening. So best thing to do is build this one in another container. You could actually make quite a bit of this and pour it into several and then add the bubbles. So let's start. You're gonna use 1 ounce of bourbon. And I really like 4 roses on this one. Particularly the single barrel gives a lot of extra dimension that you can still actually taste throughout the cocktail. And it's a good looking bottle. It'll look nice on the counter. Next you want a bar spoon of the brown simple syrup. Leave that in there. And you're gonna want a 1/2 ounce of Tuaca, which we've had before on the show. It's an Italian brandy that is fantastic in cocktails. 1/2 ounce. Best thing to do now is just to give this a nice little stir, just to combine. Pour it into your prepared glass. And finish with a little bit of sparkling wine. So tonight I'm using Rondel Brut. It's a cava. So champagne is made, of course, in the Champagne region of France. Well, cavas are made in Spain with very similar regulations. So it's a really high quality sparkling wine without having to be an actual champagne. And just finish. So right on top you get a nice little bit of apple champagne-ness to it. But still a little bit of a dark oaky quality to it, coming I think from the bourbon. That's just beautiful. You get a bit of bourbon, a little bit of the almond come from the Tuaca, and just a really nice bubble that just kind of elevates everything. I would say this would be an amazing way to finish up a dinner. Just a nice little bubble and a good toast. This year, I would like to make a toast. So this is actually to the coronavirus. And I know what you're thinking, but give me a second. If it were not for the virus coming up, I would never have started this channel. And so I would have never had the opportunity to meet all of you and for you all to help me find some fun talking about science and bourbon. So for that, I'm thankful. I'm thankful for you, and I'm thankful that you all have worked so hard to promote my channel. So thank you again. Have a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, like I need to say. But always remember, share a bourbon with someone. Good night.